All right, so any suggestions for the first part of the question, which is the formula to find the average mark of the student? So let's just say you want to do that in C11. Equal average C6 to C10. Yes, correct. Did let's just try that out here. I'm going to share the Excel workbook. Right. So if we use that, equal average, right? And then you type it out. Right. So that's the average mark for the student, right? Okay, one question just to go back a little bit. And the question is the formula used in 1A. That was related to the grade, right? So the formula is this. You see it? If I can paste it in the chat, right? So that's it. That's one part of the formula. All right. You're welcome. So the second part to the question, or the next question, state the default alignment for numeric data. So what this question means is when you type numbers in a cell, what is the alignment of those numbers by default? Any suggestions? We actually just did one live in the stream there. Anybody remembers what alignment the number went to? Left, so it went to let me share. Right. Yes, so right. So it went to right align. Okay, see the number went to the right. So if you add a number 50, it goes there by default. Okay. So this, for example, is something you just had to be familiar with in order to answer the question. One of the things I want to mention about the spreadsheet questions, and by extension, the productivity tools questions, is you can actually do the questions by yourselves to verify your answers, right? So as you see, that's what we've been doing throughout the class. For each one of the questions, we simulated it and then ran the answer to ensure it was correct. Okay. So the next thing I want to show you, right. And so I have included in the slides here a past paper question for you to attempt as homework, right? So that's from May 2015, paper 2, question 7. So there's one question here I would like you all to attempt for homework as part of the spreadsheet. Right? Any questions based on the material we did this morning? Would anyone like to have any formula clarified or go back to formula? No? All right. Okay, so what we're going to do now is let's take a 15-minute break. And when we come back, we will continue some more productivity questions. All right, let's see. Okay, you mean the questions that we're going through right now? Well, if it's the questions we're going through, yes. So these questions, this document will be so the document with the homework will be submitted to Mr. Brown, and he will put it on the shared drive, so you will have access to it, right? If anyone does not have or does not get it on the shared drive, you can email me and I could send to you directly. But it should be in a shared drive. Let's just say within a day or so, right? Okay, you're welcome. So let's come back in a little while. Okay, welcome back everyone. First of all, any questions based on the spreadsheet? Past paper questions we did? No questions? Okay. What I want to move on to now is some questions as it relates to the database management part, right? So I'm going to share my screen where we go through a couple of questions. All right. So just like the spreadsheet, you should be prepared to answer questions as it relates to database management, right? And we're going to go through some questions now. The first one will be from a specimen paper. And the question is as follows, right? Elaine wants to place her gluten-free recipes on the internet and access them using a web address. She wants users to register in order to access her recipes and plans to store their information in an online database. She also needs to manage any emails and interact with her online clients when new recipes are uploaded. As it relates to the database, users' data are stored in an online database. Apart from first name and last name, list two fields that should be used to capture data on users who register for Elaine's recipes, right? So based on the first part of the question there, what other information could be captured in the database? Email, yes, email is one thing that could be captured. What else? Right, to answer this question, you really need to go back to the first part, right? So what is Elaine trying to do? She is creating a website basically to put her recipes, right? So persons could access it. And she wants to store information on the database, on an online database about users. So when persons visit a website, what sort of information you want? You want, like, for example, an email address, right? Why you want an email address? Maybe they register with an email address. You could use the email address to send out periodic emails when there's a new recipe, for example. Contact number, yes, contact number is a good one. Also, another bit of information is, given that it's an online resource, you might want to know where that person is located. So the country the person is from. You might have a website and you're hosting it here in Trinidad, but you might have users in different parts of the world accessing your website. So that's important. What might also be important is maybe users suggesting recipes they want, right? So any sort of information like that will be useful. Okay. Now, the second part of the database question, Elaine wants to extract some information from the database. Complete the table by selecting the most suitable database feature from the list below. So you have some answers or the features at the top, right? So you have calculated field, form, query, report, and sort. And then the table below that, you have some tasks that you need to map the feature to. So let's look at the first task. What database feature would you use to list the users who have accessed her cupcake recipe? Right, so basically you have a database with information, but you want to see now what users, or generate a list of users that fulfill some sort of criteria who has access a cupcake recipe. right? Any suggestions for this one? So if you go back to the SBA, you remember one part of the SBA was to list the users or list the guests that selected a premium package, right? And the operation we did, or the database feature we used for that, was a query. So the answer to the first one is a query. So you would query the database, and query basically means you would ask the database a question. It will be list the users who have accessed the cupcake recipe. The second task, how many users have registered? So what will you do to determine how many users have registered? For this, what you want is, remember the question is how many. So you're not looking for a list. So they don't want to know how many users registered. Sorry, they don't want to know they don't want to know the list of the users or to see every user. They want to know how many, so a number. And for this one, you could go back to the SBA that we did. And one of the questions was to calculate the total payments of persons that selected the standard package. And the database feature that we'll use for that is something called a calculated field. And what the calculated field does, it performs an arithmetic operation on the results. So it will do a sum on the amount of users, in this case, that have registered, right? The third task, what database feature would you use for an overview of the number of users who requested each recipe? Right? So you want to get an overview of the number of users that requested each recipe. And the answer for that would be a report, right? So one thing to look at in the question. So one thing you may have that comes to mind is, why is it a query could not be used for this? And if you look at the task 1 and task 3, for task 1, they said specifically they want to list the users. And this one is an overview of the users. And what that simply means is, for the overview, you could probably add some additional details. So you might have the user first name, last name, the user email, so you want to generate, or you want to have a high level view of information about the users, right? And the last one, a list of users by country, but in ascending order. So, I mean, given that we went through the answer for this is sort. But what guides you or leads you to use the sorting feature is the fact that they want the list of users by country in ascending order. And when you do it in ascending order is when you're going to basically implement some sort of sorting. Okay, so any questions based on this one? Everyone is okay with these answers? Yeah, okay. So let's move on to a question here. Right. So this is from another past paper. And the question is as follows. Right? Consider the database below, which consists of 2 tables, region and school. Right? And then there's some questions to follow. So the first thing is, there are 2 tables in this database. One is region, in which you have two fields, our code and our name. And then the table, you have our code, school name, and number of students. Okay. The first question is, state the number of records in the school table. Okay, so first of all, you can put in the chat the number of records in the school table. Right, 6. Okay, anyone had any other answers? overthinking of any other answer? Okay, the answer is 6. So first of all, the school table is the second one, and then it's very simply count the number of rows for each record. The first row is just the heading, so that's not going to be contributing to the record, right? The second part to the question, state the field that can be used as a primary key in the school table. So which field could be used as a primary key in the school table? Right? So first of all, we have to remember what a primary key is, right? And a primary key is a field that will uniquely identify each record in the table. What that also means is the value or the field you choose as the primary key, the values in those fields have to be unique and will not be repeated. Okay, so based on that, could we use the R code as the primary key? No, you can't use R code as primary key, as you could clearly see that some of the letters are repeating, right? So there are a couple of schools with the R code C and S. Okay, what about school name? Could we use the school name as the primary key? Right, so school name is an option because based on the information we're seeing, they all have different names. What about number of students? Could that be an option for the primary key? Anyone thinks we could use number of students for the primary key? So using a number of students will not be a good idea because number of students could vary, and it's quite possible that the number of students in two schools could have could be the same number, right? So given the information we have, school name is the most suitable option for the primary key. All right, so that's good. The third part to the question, an appropriate data type for number of students field. What is an appropriate data type for number of students field? Okay. I see some answers coming in there. Now, one thing to remember when you are when you're doing this part of the question is you have to remember that this is a database management question. So you need to put the appropriate data types as it relates to database management, right? And that's going to be a bit different from the programming question. So one thing you could do, as I said before, similarly with the spreadsheet, is you could actually test some of these things with your Access, right? So I'm now going to pull up the Access database. And if you go into the design view for a table, so this is a database from the SBA we did, and you look at the data type fields, you have these options for data type. So based on this, number might be appropriate for the number of students, right? So good. So let's go back now to the question. And the last part to this question, state the field that can be used to join two tables, right? So in other words, what you want to do is you want to state the field that you could use to build a relationship. If you remember, when we did the SBA, we created a relationship between tables. And maybe I could just pull back up the database here. Right, so you see the database, and we built a relationship between the three tables. Basically, we joined two tables by using one field. So we had the guest payment details and guest personal data, and those tables were joined with the guest ID. And then we had the guest personal data and package details, and those tables were joined using the package ID. So what field could we use in this question to join the two tables? Right, that's correct. So use our code because that is a field that is common to both tables, right? So good. So that's what you're going to use for joining the table. The next question we have here is to complete the following query to determine the schools that have fewer than 500 students.